Hello everyone, this is Arrow, and welcome back to Sundown MHA Podfic. Today we'll be continuing Learning to Adapt to the Fall by Supupdog. Chapter 12, We Fly, It's Their Golden Time. Hisashi was comfortably sitting on a chair that was extremely close to the bed his show was on, plus Hawks. The number 3 pro hero was currently splayed across his husband and bottom half laying across his lap. It was precarious, but it seemed to work just fine for the moment. Sho was somewhat asleep, somewhat not asleep, because that's just how he is, but it's also the fact that after learning about a student that risked his life to save him, is most likely 100% being abused at home, and he can't go along. It's just eating him up inside. Hisashi understands how his tired cat wants to be there for his problem child, which will probably become his real problem child, but what would the little guy think after his teacher went after him in this condition? He can barely move his arms, let alone his legs. The poor AS will probably make it seem like it was his own fault in his mind, and they can't have that. Hisashi was currently on his phone looking at his Twitter page. It's shocking how long the website has been running. He's scrolling through his ult and he's just so fucking tempted to post the pictures he took of Hawks and Sho. Sho would kill him, even though no one knows what he looks like, and even if they did, they can't tell with all the bandages on his face. Hisashi would also make sure his face was covered and try and find a way to edit out Hawks' wings. He can do that, he thinks. The train of thought was quickly derailed by his phone suddenly ringing. Hisashi quickly turns off his sound and looks over to the two that should be asleep and is welcomed with a familiar glare. Really? Hisashi looks down as he should have turned off his sound by now because he knows how Shota wakes up really easily, but he just forgot. He flashes some kitten eyes at him and gets a sigh in return. I don't really care about my sleep. Shut up. You know I never sleep right to begin with, and that's not going to change just because I'm in the hospital, Sho said matter-of-factly, keeping his voice closer to a whisper. They both froze when Hawk started to shift around a bit, but luckily he didn't wake up. They then had twice the luck as Hawks let out a sleepy, quiet, and very cute trill as he nuzzled his head further into Sho's chest. It just warmed Hisashi's heart and made him want to squeal with how cute that fucking was. Zashi, I swear to God, you better stay quiet. But back on topic. Sho talked after Hawks stopped moving completely. Hawks has been, to my knowledge, not sleeping, like at all. I know it's not weird to see a pro go at least one day without sleep, but he's still young, Zashi. He was about to open his mouth to comment on how much of a dad his husband is at times, but was shut up by the soft and slightly hurt-sounding voice. Zash, he's only 22. No one knows anything about him. Name, family, past, his life in general. He's always working non-stop, and not to mention the fact of how many pros think he was trained by the commission. He doesn't hide, and if you asked, he would say that he was trained by them, and that's it. Why do we know nothing of him, Zash? Fucking nothing. After those words left Shota's mouth, he looked up to the ceiling, and Hisashi knows he's right. The youngest to ever go pro and then rise to the ranks that fast, that goes beyond any training he's ever seen. Hisashi shakes his head a bit and looked down to his phone and noticed he had a missed call from Nezu. Oh fuck. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Hisashi quickly picked up the phone as he lowered his volume once again, but this time for calls. He quickly started to talk, but only in a hushed voice. I'm so sorry. Oh God, I didn't mean to do that. I was talking to Sho, and Hawks is passed out and is really fucking cute. Oh my God, he's so cute. But no, back on track. I'm sorry. I should have picked up the first time. A hopefully lighthearted cackle was heard from the other end, but was swiftly cut off. Oh, I'm sorry for laughing, Yamada. It's just that caught me off guard, and learning how the Midoriya parents think It's just been a bit too much to digest, and I think since I'm looking after Izuku at the moment, I'm holding off all the things I've learned in favor of keeping him calm. Hizashi blinked a few times, but looked over to Shota with wide eyes. It seems he also heard what Nezu just said, and he looks to be trying to think of a way to get the fuck out of his bed. Why haven't you got someone else to look over him yet? I know you don't deal well with emotions at all. You wouldn't be willing to do this to yourself. He shot a half-hearted glare to Sho, so he stopped trying to move around. They shouldn't be waking Hawks up at the moment. Yes, Yamada, you are more than right. I am at the moment stuck here by my own choice, as young Izuku seems to have his hand stuck in the grasp of my shirt sleeve. Nezu sounded bright and cheery, but Hizashi and Sho both know how he folds under the pressure of complicated emotions. He can deal with them, yes, but helping fix them is a no-go. Nezu follows the book too much when it comes to those, and there are so many conclusions to trauma that it's extremely hard to find what trauma response the person will have to a situation. Now, if Nezu knows the person personally and in depth enough, he doesn't have to worry about that because he would already have the most common route someone will react to. That sometimes still doesn't work because, again, trauma response can sometimes just be so different from the person themselves. He does know how to handle basically all the staff because we all see him as extremely safe. So we go to him when we feel like everything and everyone is dangerous. There were some times when both him and Sho would have memories of Oboro, replacing him with others they knew and seeing them die instead, or with him. One time, both of them thought Nezu died in their dreams, that they both refused to leave his office or the room he was in, following him around like ducklings all the while, or until they finally calmed down enough. Nezu just knows how all the staff will act on any occasion. He made sure to know so everyone is safe and happy. That is one of the main ways to tell he actually cares about you. It's okay, Nezu. Just think about how Hawks treated him and try and use that as a base. Hizashi was slowly trying to lift Hawks' legs off his lap, but he will most likely wake up after this. Izuku has stated that he will be able to let me go after Hawks gets here, most likely to help him calm down more. He's jumping and getting ready to attack at any noise he hears, and there is a lot of noise happening right now. He can hear the slight strain in the happy tone. Hizashi needs to get over to that hellhole since yesterday. Hizashi quickly gave his acknowledgement and hung up the phone. He really hopes that Nezu will be okay without having the phone on the whole time. He needs to wake up the dangerous bird. Hizashi, please get him off me before you try and wake him up and he jerks around a whole shit ton. Hizashi chuckled a little as he was able to lift Hawks' legs off him, but now he just has his arms full of Hawks' legs. He slowly got up and moved a little away from his seat, while keeping Hawks' legs in relatively the same place. Hizashi then looked over to Shota with a desperate look in his eyes. I don't know, just pick him up. He gave his husband a deadpan look as he tried to think of a different thing to do. Hizashi sighed as he slowly put Hawks' legs down to the floor and then got as close as he could to his ears. Hawks, we need to get up. He slightly shook the young pro's shoulder while talking in a calm but normal volume voice. Hawks hummed a bit, but besides that stayed asleep. Sho huffed out some air in amusement, but he just ignored him. Hizashi really needs to wake Hawks up, but he can't make him jolt up and hurt Sho by mistake. After a minute or so, Hawks slowly roused and rubbed his eyes a little. It was extremely cute with his bedhead. God, he's taking a picture. After Hawks forces himself to get off Sho and sit on the floor looking a little out of it, Hizashi decided it was best to tell him as soon as possible. Hawks, hey bud, can you hear what I'm saying, or is it a little fuzzy because you were asleep for a bit there? He got a short but sloppy nod back as Hawks slightly stretched his wings. This is going to put you on edge, and you are probably going to shoot out of here as soon as I'm done talking, but you need to listen till the end, okay? That seemed to make Hawks wake up a little more, but he was obviously still blurry-eyed from just waking up. Well, he's about to be up and flying in the sky real soon. The address for Izuku's house is blank, and Nezu is currently keeping your chick calm as he waits for you to pick him up. Ah! Hawks! Hawks was quick to pick him up and ran to the door. I guess I'll see you when we come back, Sho. Hawks just exited Sho's room and was heading down the hallway with great speed when he screamed back to the bed-trapped man. Hawks made quick work of the stairs by jumping into the middle of the stairwell and fell straight to the first floor. Hisashi really hopes Shota explains what's happening, or the Hero Ward might call out to not medically sound-minded Hawk's warning. It's true, but it's not what exactly is happening, because apparently he is able to calm down both birds of prey. He has no idea how he does it, but it's very helpful at the moment. There was yelling when Hawks busted out the doors, and as soon as the little roof wasn't in his way, they shot into the sky. Ah! Hisashi screamed, but laughed hysterically at the fact of suddenly being so high in the sky. He desperately gripped onto Hawks as they continued to fly at top speed. God, was this what he dealt with flying all the time? He had to keep his eyes closed most of the time they were on their way to the Midoriya residence. They started to slow down a little, and Hawks was finally able to open his eyes to look around them. They seemed to be near where the Midoriya house was because of how far spread out the homes were getting. The lights from the houses helped a whole lot, too. It was getting pretty dark outside, with the moon only being a crescent. He looked up to see how Hawks was even able to fly with all this wind. With how close he was to the young pro's face, he could clearly see a layer of something over his eyes. That was so unfair. Hawks can just do what he's doing and boom! Whipping wind, no problem. Hisashi was soon able to hear sirens from police cars and the flashing lights. Hawks made a quick dive boom, which got a quirk-enhanced yell out of him because of how sudden it was. They now had eyes on all of them as they landed on the outside ring of the police cars. Hawks, I said... The young pro spared no time to let him stand on his own, but was soon dragging him into the house by his hand. That you should have waited till I was done talking. I'm glad I gave the address first now. Hawks made his way to the door, officers backing off as the screaming from some women in the distance could be heard. What I had to do to make sure that monster of a Hisashi couldn't hear the rest as they both went further into the house. Hawks ignoring everyone as if they didn't exist at all. Yama, hey, do you need Rocklock to get some medics, or are you sure you're okay? He was able to hear Tensei talking as they finally started to go up the stairs. Hisashi couldn't even know he was in the area. His head whipped around quick enough to catch a glimpse of Nem sitting on the ground as Ten helped her with something. Rocklock seemed to be standing further away with an angry look in his eyes. All too soon, his view is cut off as they both start climbing the stairs to the third floor, where he was told Izuku was being held. Hawks didn't know this, or wasn't told this, but he must be able to tell exactly where his little one is. He started to get more and more scared because, yes, Nezu was able to calm down a Hawk that didn't have his new mark chick near him, but now Izuku will be right beside someone Hawks hasn't specifically said or that is shown was part of the flock. He might have to redirect Hawks' attention to Izuku and him, and only Izuku and him. They both soon made it to the top floor, and Hawks beelined to the open door at the end of the hall. Izuku and Nezu weren't in sight from the open door, so they might be sitting closer to the wall, but he also couldn't see a bed either. He hoped the kid had a bed in here somewhere. Hawks went into a sprint with the door open in sight, and Hisashi's view was blocked by the pro's wings opened a bit and puffed out. He tripped at the entrance, but Hawks finally let go of his hand and leaped into the direction of what he can only guess Izuku was in. Hisashi's ears were filled with a loud squawk, human mixed screech as he watched red wings wrap around something. They actually got to him. He's safe, and he's still holding on to Nezu's sleeve. He's really tired. How long has it been since he slept this well? Too long to remember, apparently. He rubbed his eyes and tried to listen to whatever was being said near him. Something. Can he hear them or whatever? Hawks nodded his head the best he could. Wasn't he with his marked one's flock? He stretched out his wings a bit, wanting to fly, wanting his fledgling hatchling. This is going to put you on edge, and you're probably going to shoo out of here as soon as I'm done talking, but you need to listen to the end, okay? That was the yellow one. He remembers the name Zashi being thrown around a bunch in the haze of yesterday. Hawk sat up a little straighter. This could be important. Maybe the quirk finally wore off, or the chick felt more safe with his parents. Not parents, not parents, not parents. He blinked a few times as Hizashi started talking. The address for Izuku's house is blank. Oh, why is Hizashi telling him where his hatchling lives? He's not allowed to go there, but God, is it hard to try not to go there. Why did he tell me? And Nezu is currently keeping your chick calm, and he wants you to pick him up. Ah! Hawks! He didn't care anymore, and Hizashi said to listen to all that he said till the end. He can listen all the way to the end if he was carrying Zashi, and they are also part of Izuku's flock. He needs to come with. Hawks quickly put Hizashi into a bridal carry because that was the easiest one to use at the moment. He might just hold him by his arms if you keep squirming. He swiftly got to the door and also got yelled in the ear by the blonde man. I guess I'll see you when we come back, Sho. He ignores the ringing in his ears as he starts to make his way down the hallway. Hawks thinks he hears Shoda yell something. When he didn't yell, but Hawks could hear something like, fucking should go, but this goddamn wall's apparently fight now. Or something like that. It was hard to hear with how far he was, and with Hizashi being loud, that wasn't helping. As soon as he was faced with the stairs, he jumped over the railing and tucked his wings in tight so they wouldn't clip on anything going down to the first floor. Hawks needs to fly right now. Getting an injury would make him slow. Fledgling. He thinks he can hear some noise from where he jumped about a hero mentally unstable getting loose. Hope they can handle that because if not and they hurt his nestling, then when they get back, he'll fucking kill them. Hawks burst into the waiting room and practically flew out the doors and made quick work to jump into the sky. Ah! The blonde he was carrying started to scream, but laugh at the same time. Wind was blowing in his ears, and he didn't have his headphones on. It was a little hard to hear, but with how close Hizashi was, it sounded somewhat like a normal talking level of noise. Hawks felt hands grip his shoulders and jacket. He hadn't taken off because the fledgling used it once and smelled like him for dear life. As if Hawks would drop a flock member out of the sky. He never would. Never. He flew as fast as he could in a direction that would be his nestling's home, prison. He needs his chick, his fledgling, nestling, marked one. Hawks saw some flashing lights in the far distance and slowed down a bit. Hurting his ankle when landing would be dumb. He looked down for a brief moment to make sure Hizashi was okay. Needed to stay awake. Needed to focus and think. And he had to think, not just act on instinct. The blonde seemed to be trying to see where they were, almost to his fledgling. It's dark out, but not too bad. The lights helped guide him to his marked one faster. He tried to stay calm, but soon he was making a dive boom to where they were going to land. Hawks learned why he shouldn't have done that quickly after the grounded flockmate started to scream with their quirk. Hawks saw every head turn their way as he landed, trying his best not to look weak, as it felt like his ears were bleeding slightly. Hawks, I said. It didn't matter what his flockmate said right now. They were close to fledgling. He started to pull on Hizashi's arm in the direction he could smell his baby bird. and they made quick work to the disturbing house. This place smells wrong, cold, and dead. That you should have waited till I was done talking. I'm glad I had gave the address first now. Hawks is also glad his flockmate said the address first, or else he would have had to ask while they were in the sky. He got to the door, and the feeling of wrong was so wrong. His marked one was being trapped in this place. I did what I had to do to make sure that monster was human again. I did what any mother would have done for their baby. Hawks ignores the yelling from the snake that first took away his hatchling. He can maim her later. Fledgling first, always first. They were already in this disgusting den already. No point in going back and clawing her face off now. It was slightly annoying that he was picking up so many different conversations, but that doesn't matter. Kayama, hey, do you need Rocklock to get some medics, or are you sure you're okay? Someone was talking to another person that was affected by that snake in human skin. Hawks can eat snakes. He made work or moved around anyone he had to so he could get to the stairs in record time. How did she do that? I just suddenly couldn't feel anything but fear. A female voice carries into his ears, but he's already partway up the stairs. He pulls his flockmate past the second floor on the den. He can smell his fledgling's nest area, but that's not where blood. Hawk starts to go up the stairs faster at the heavy scent of blood in the air. Fledgling, marked one. When he finally made it to the final level of this disgusting smelling den, a single door was open. Izuku. He sprints to the door and his wings fluttered open at the thought of finally being able to see his baby bird. Fledgling, nestling, hatchling, marked one. Hawks felt a slight tug from his flockmate when he was dragging all the way here, but let go because they must want to be able to walk on their own again. He sees him. Fledgling! Hawk screams a parental call at his little hurt fledgling as he flings his arms and rings around him. He can hear it, a tiny, quiet call back. Hawks makes another call, needing that call back. He needs it, and he gets it, louder this time. He feels red streaks on his face, but he doesn't care. Fledgling is here. Fledgling is safe now. Marked one is back now. He can feel the trembling in his baby bird and hold him tighter, more secure, more real. Mama, Mama, Mama! Hawk's ears were filled with the most beautiful sound of bird call mixed with crying. His fledgling calls and he quickly responded back. Mama, Mama! I tried to call. Hawks calls back, running his hand through his fledgling's hair, mixing the feathers that have gone astray. It's okay, it's fine. You're safe now because Mama is here. His heart hurts at the thought of his marked one waking up to seeing all this prison room where he was right by his side only a moment ago. She came me instead. My wings, Mama. Hawks goes stiff as he moves his hands to his nestling's wings that couldn't be used yet because they have no muscle yet, but I'm going to make them forget what soul food tastes like, he said in a dark voice as his hands roam over the spots of his nestling's wings that were missing feathers, and then his heart drops when he can't find his baby bird's flight feathers. They'll grow back. They'll go back. They'll go back. They'll go back. They'll go back. Hawk slowly turns to the rat. No. His chick is holding onto his sleeve for support, and he also helped him earlier today. New flockmate. I am going to make them miss the sight that they've been allowed to have. They don't need it anymore. His new burrow-making flockmate looked at him with hidden fear. He didn't mean for that to happen. They looked at him with their inhuman face, one perfect to help protect his fledgling, smile that is not meant for them spread across their snout. I'm sorry, Hawks. You know you can't. A breeze of anger gets added to the hurricane of emotions that are flying through him. Why? Why? Hawks! His head snaps over to the blonde, grounded flockmate, scoots closer to him. Hawks tenses a little bit, but not much. They wouldn't hurt his nestling. I think what Nezu is trying to say. Blonde flockmate's eyes zip over to the white-furred flockmate before looking him in the eyes. Is this a challenge of positions? Isn't he older than me? Also, white-furred one is older than both of them, elder and parental. Is that your little one? Is that your little chicks come first now, right? His mama? No, he already had one. No one can replace his sire. This could be his papa. His papa looks over to the elder with somewhat of a pissed look on his face. Right, Nezu? Hawks needs to look after his fledgling and get back to the hospital with me. He still needs to get checked out. A jolt went through his system at the thought of him pushing his nestling's injuries to the side just so he could feel better about himself. Hawks's head whips down to his little marked one in his arms and wings, still holding on to the elder's sleeve. A bullet of pain blew through his heart at the sight of his fledgling's arms. There were cuts all over them, from him probably trying to stop the snake from taking his flight feathers, plus the rest. The cuts weren't deep, but they were there and also slowly dripping out blood. He felt lost of what he should do. His marked one wanted to hold on to the elder because he was the one that saved him first. Hawks just can't pull his hands off of him. Hawks, I can help him let go of Nezu's sleeve if you need help. His eyes landed on the arms of his papa, slowly advancing his hands towards his hatchling's hands, of what he was gripping onto. Hawk's eyes were still wide with worry as he slightly nodded his head, watching the whole time as hands gently worked to let go of the sleeve. After the sleeve was finally let go, his marked one grabbed onto his papa. Of course Izuku would. Oh, well, it looks like you really are going back with them, Yamada, Nezu said in what seemed to be a strained voice. He wonders what's wrong with his new flock elder. Hawks looked in between both his flockmates. He wanted both of them to come back with him, and his fledgling especially, with the hurt flockmate hurt back at the temporary nest. Yeah, I guess you're right. I would have went back anyways because Sho would have killed me if I stayed. Can't the flock elder come back with us too? Hawks looks at both of them after they finally look at him, and he notices how both of them freeze. Did he say something wrong? Shouldn't the flock stay together with what all has happened with them, and also the fact that now there are two injured flockmates and one is the youngest? They need to be grounded. They need to be grouped up so they can stay more safe. Papa put his head up slowly, with a shaky but kind smile on his face. No, Hawks. Nezu needs to stay here and make sure the people who took your little chick don't do it again. Hawks was able to feel the wings puff up a bit in a defensive state. That lizard and snake won't come back. They won't come back if the elder deals with them. He shot his eyes to the elder and got a small nod in return. I will make sure they can't escape even if they try, Hawks. You have labeled me as the elder, and as the elder, I will make sure that they will never do this again to anyone else, let alone us, ever again. A dark and feral smile spreads across the snout of the elder. It promises pain, and that is enough for Hawks. He gave a nod and looked back to his papa, waiting for how they can go back to the healing room where the other hurt flockmate. Aren't Papa and the black-haired flockmate together? Would that mean he's his dad? Dada? Pa? No, too close to Papa. He'll think of it later, if he has to. Is there a way to get us back to the hospital altogether? His papa looked back at the elder, who looked to be thinking about the question he was just asked. Hawks decided it was the best idea to position his chick so it was easier to carry. He'd be able to carry him better on his hip than just in his arms. Hawks, will you be able to go into a car that has someone I trust driving it? He looked back over to the elder of the flock and thought for a few seconds. It would be someone Elder trusts to keep them safe, and also not to do anything bad to them. Even if they do, he could deal with them quick enough. Hawks nodded his head because he was sure that no one would be able to live long enough to do anything bad to them. He can trust the elder. After some quick last-minute decisions, like the elder was really okay with staying behind if the chick wanted anything from his nesting room, they had to run by the fledgling's room to grab a few comfort items, including a worn hawk stuffy. That didn't make his heart want to explode, not at all. An old picture of him and his childhood friend, and most recent notebook. He wanted to take all of them, but they were way too much to carry back. But the grounded white-furred elder said that he would make sure no one touched them. Finally, after all that, they headed back to their temporary nest area where their last hurt flock mate is staying. Hawks didn't mind sitting in the back with his nestling the whole time while Papa sat in the front. It was a bit hard with wings, but he made it work. While they were all making their way back, Hawks spent all his time calming down his marked one, slowly making them fall asleep, but also notifying how hungry he was. That goddamn lizard and snake must have not fed him. But honestly, he's glad they didn't, because they might have tried to force feed him something that wouldn't help at all. When they finally made it back to where they were before, hospital, Hawks made quick work to pick up the sleeping hatchling and carry him inside. His poor grounded papa had to handle something with the person behind the desk, but Hawks didn't care. He just made his way to the floor of the injured flock Shota is at. He blinked a few more times than necessary, shaking his head a bit as he made it to the hospital room door. Shota's room. Hawks opened the door and was greeted with a grunt, and he felt intense eyes on him and his chick. He felt a soft smile lay on his face as he went to the couch and pulled off the cushions. The fledgling is fine. His cuts aren't that deep and can heal without bandages. Feathers will grow back. Hawks rearranged the cushions on the floor so that they had a 4x4 square. Izuku will most likely wake up soon, anyways, because those fucks didn't feed him, but that's okay. It's okay. And the elder, Nezu, is going to fix it. I'm also pretty sure Hisashi is going to bring a mountain of blankets and also a nurse, bring my nestling food. He finished fixing the meager nest with blankets they left from when they migrated to this room, where their hurt flockmate was. He gently placed the nestling down in the half-finished nest so that he could have 2 hands to work with. Feathers helped, but they weren't as precise as his hands. Hawks traveled to the other end of the room so he could grab a black bag of something that smelled like both his papa, Hisashi, and Shota. What are you doing? He paid no mind to Shota, stuck in the bed, as he went back to fixing the nest to make it more homely. He thinks he heard an annoyed huff, but kept at it. Not much time passed as Hisashi entered the room with his arms full of blankets. I got more nest materials for you. I knew you asked for them last time, and they gave the ones you used before, and some more. The blonde walked in and put the pile on the outside of the nest. Nice of him. And then, they shouldn't be here. A hiss left Hawks' mouth at the sight of a nurse he didn't allow near his chick enter with more blankets and what looked like pillows. Hisashi quickly got the message and grabbed all the things they had and shooed them out of the room. Good. Hawks goes back to making the nest and Hisashi and his nestling will use with him. It's right beside the bed on the right-hand side, so Hisashi can be by his partner more, and so Hawks can be the closest one to the door. You seem a lot calmer. He hummed in agreement, and he continued to make the nest on the the right size and shape, making sure it was fluffy and just right. A gruff voice joined in. It wavered some bit from overuse. Yeah, you seem really relaxed. Unlike before, and from what I heard, you weren't like this before they took him either. Hawks finally finished the nest and smiled at it proudly before looking at Shota. I think it's because flock. He quickly pointed to the two of them, feeling safe and happy with the fact that it's not just his nestling with him right now. He didn't notice the smug look Hisashi gave Shota as he repositioned his nestling so his wings wouldn't be cramped up when he woke up. Hawks then swiftly stood up and walked over to Hisashi and grabbed his arm, yanking him into the nest. Whoa, wait, I don't think, am I allowed? Hawks didn't pay him no mind as he pushed him into his place in the nest, right beside the beds. It would have him in arm's reach of Shota, and also made sure another strong one was in front and behind those that needed to be protected the most. Your spot, Hawks simply said, and then getting comfortable in his spot. They will help him protect the flock. His wings splayed out so that it was over the hatchling and also able to go over Hisashi if he wanted it. Poor Papa didn't have wings himself. He was grounded forever. I think he adopted us first, Shota. Here are some endnotes memes. Zashi. Do. Twitter alt. Eraserhead is the most hot pro hero. Change my mind. Phone. You got a call. Zashi. Oh fuck. Zawa minding his own business. Phone ringing. Zawa. Why me? Zashi. Okay, yes, Nezu? Nezu. Emotions. Help. Zashi. Help is on the way, dear. Hawks, after waking up and learning what's happening. Help is on the way. Zawa. I am trapped. Hawks. I know. Zawa. Take me too. Hawks. Too much work. You hurt. Bye-bye. Zashi. What the fuck? Inko, finally getting arrested but not shutting up. Zashi. Who was that? Hawks. Ignore. I can't kill yet. Nem. What the fuck did she do to me? That wasn't even in her quirk registry. 10. I know. Rock. It's bullshit. Nem. Why did she have to put her back in my mind? 10. It's okay, Kayama. You're safe. Nem. I don't feel like it. 10. I know. Rock feeling like he's interrupting something more than normal. I'ma just go. Hawks walking into the house looking like an Avenger. Officers on scene. Gonna just walk over there. Nezu. Oh good, you're here. Zashi. Yeah, I didn't know I was gonna be here. Hawks. Baby. Little one need to protect and help. Now safe. Izu. Wing. Hawks wanting to murder more. Nezu. Help me, Zashi. Zashi. Hospital. Now. Hawks. Fine. Elder coming? Nezu. Is that me? Zashi. Do I have an important name? Hawks in his mind. Papa and Elder are good people. Does black hair flockmate mean my other parent? Hawks. Because I'm not the only one taking care of my fledgling anymore, I can have the privilege to relax a little bit more. Think more soundly and calmly. Zashi. Oh, that's helpful. Zawa. Is that why you just making a nest? Hawks. Just because I'm more relaxed doesn't mean no comfort. Alright everyone, that is the end of Learning to Adapt to the Fall, Chapter 12. I like this one a little more because Hawks finally was able to save Izuku, and it was just really adorable to see the dynamic between Zashi, Zawa, and Hawks. As you can probably tell, my voice is kind of all over the place. I keep stopping and starting. My mind is racing, so it was kind of hard to read. I hope you still enjoyed it though. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!